You know, I've spent most of my life hiding for, from the person that I actually am. I didn't come out of the closet until I was in my 30s. I had a very traumatic childhood because of my vision loss, and it wasn't the vision loss, it was what happened to me because of it. I wasn't allowed to play recess, gym class, PE, or be in any sports. So my whole childhood, I just lived in a bubble until 12th until middle school, which is like what, 12 years old? Until middle school, when my life finally started to get better, when recess went away and I could hide that. And PE also, it was easier to kind of hide from that in middle school as well. And people didn't have to know that I was in sports. And I mean, I had very thick glasses when I was younger, but I started wearing contacts in third grade. I would lay on the floor before the school bus would get there in third grade, and my mom would literally put colored contact lenses in my eyes because I was so embarrassed of who I was. And because the eye that I went completely blind in, I had surgery on it. So my pupil was always dilated. So there was a deformity because of it. And so I was just really embarrassed to wear glasses, but I was also embarrassed to wear contacts and people to actually see me for who I am. So I wore brown colored hard contacts when I was little because my prescription was like -14, and hard colored lenses that I had to save for an entire year until I could get new ones. Those were the only option that I had at the time. I mean, this was like almost 30 years ago. So when I got out of elementary school, I hid the fuck who I was. I had my brown contact lenses. I never spoke about my vision loss. I was so tired of all of the projections and the beliefs that I had internalized that society put onto me, and all of their sadness and their fear and their worry about my blindness. Because the thing is that with my eye disease, it was if I got hit in the head with a ball or had a blow to the head, then I could go completely blind and lose the vision, the remaining vision that I still had. So this was why it was important to keep me in a bubble as a young child. And as an adult, I understand that now, but I had some deep core wounds of feeling unworthy and feeling different and like I don't matter, and that I was a bad person and I didn't belong and I was different and all the things. So throughout my life, I hid who I was. I never told people about my eye disease after childhood. I never talked about it in middle school or high school or even college. And sometimes people would notice because then when I did start to wear different contact lenses, people would ask and I would avoid it and I would move around it because I was so ashamed of who I was and I did not want to be visible. I had a lot of deep visibility wounds. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated as a child. I hated the thick glasses. I hated that everybody noticed I couldn't go to gym, and at recess I had to just stand alone by myself and watch all the other kids play. It was mortifying. But the blessing was actually when I became legally blind and I did lose more vision because yes, it sucked, but I was forced to not hide anymore, and I was forced to come out of the closet and actually tell people the truth of who I am, that I am this girl that was born with diseased eyes and have a degenerative eye disease, and I am visually impaired. Because when I was young, when I was a kid, my mom would always tell people she's visually impaired, but as soon as I got to the point to where I could hide it, I never told people I was visually impaired. And to be honest, hiding my visual impairment, I think, hurt me in life because it kind of messed me up. I feel like in school when I couldn't see things and stuff when I was in college and when I worked in corporate and people didn't know that I was blind in one eye and that I was severely nearsighted in the other. But I drove, I functioned, I worked, I was fine. But I wasn't fine when I became legally blind because I was faced to force because I was forced to face my childhood trauma, and that was terrifying. So I had to face so I was forced to face my childhood trauma while also navigating this new challenge of blindness and having my whole world turned upside down with not being able to recognize faces, losing my job, losing my driver's license, losing my freedom, my ability to be independent. I had to face my visibility wounds. That is when my healing actually started to take place. The more I became visible, the more I was able to get to my truth, be more authentic, realize and understand who I am, and realize that I had all of these perceptions of internal beliefs from what the world had projected onto me that wasn't actually my truth. So facing my fears actually ended up being a blessing because it allowed me to discover who I am and what was true and what wasn't. And that is what I am helping people do now, because that is my calling and my mission in life. So if you're someone who needs emotional healing, no matter what your circumstances, click the link in my bio and we can do a coaching call.